Texas, which must mean the handling of the disaster was done well by the president, because we know that if the emergency response to Hurricane Harvey was poor, we would see 24/7 nonstop coverage of it, kind of like we did Katrina, which was handled poorly by George W. Bush. But I think the story about Hurricane Harvey this week is that there was no story. And I'll just let you read in between the lines on that. Hurricane Harvey was not in the news. What does that tell you? Hurricane Irma hitting Florida. Now, and we don't know how this is going to be. This is still Friday, right around noon on the West Coast. So we'll really know about what kind of storm Irma was next week, and the damage that ensues. I mean, in the Caribbean islands, Irma created massive damage. So there's a lot of intrigue. A lot of people are rightfully worried about the storm that's coming. To me, the big story about Harvey, or another big story about Harvey, not the big story, but another big story about Harvey and Irma together, is the response in social media. And what you're seeing a lot on Twitter, on Facebook, is basically leftists wishing for conservatives and Republicans and Trump voters to basically die in the hurricane. And there's scores and scores of evidence of this. You're going to find in my broadcast. I'm going to encourage you to net search a lot of things on your own. I'll give you a couple keywords. Net search Hurricane Irma, die, Republicans deserve death, whatever. Net search these terms, and you're going to come up with a treasure trove of comments from progressives about how it's a good thing that Republicans die in hurricanes in Florida or Texas for the crimes of supporting Trump. So we'll see what's happening with Hurricane Irma next week, praying that it is not the severe storm they hype it to be. We're hoping there. Okay, now on to what I think is the biggest story of the week, obviously not covered by mainstream media. And people have been sitting on this. In the 5 months since Imran Awan, the Pakistani IT guy for the Democrat National Committee, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, we recall he was arrested in April of this year. And we found out just this week that Mr. Awan wasn't fleeing the country, was not fleeing justice. It turns out that he planted all the information. It turns out he wanted to be caught. Basically, it turns out that he is a whistleblower. There are several articles about that this week. The story is moving in real time, so we're going to find out. I mean, there's still multiple accounts on how the information was left, the technique. Some say that he left notes. But here's the point. If Imran Awan is blowing the whistle, or had blown the whistle on the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, maybe the Clintons, maybe what happened with Seth Rich, that means the Trump administration now knows, and that means the Justice Department of Jeff Sessions knows. And I would say with almost 100% certainty that this is the case at this point. I mean, if these reports are accurate, that indeed Imran Awan blew the whistle by leaving narratives and by leaving notes for investigators. So this leaves us in a place, I think this leaves us in an interesting place coming up. I mean, people have been talking about Hillary Clinton being above the law for decades now. And, a lot of cynics say that Hillary Clinton will remain above the law. And, I can't say they're wrong, because if you're going on past experience, Hillary Clinton has been untouchable. But with this arrest, you're going to see Debbie Wasserman Schultz go down. Also this week, you saw Anthony Weiner go down. You have all these other personnel officials involved in the mix. Susan Rice, Loretta Lynch, maybe even Eric Holder. You're seeing the crimes, and you're seeing justice slowly catch up to all these people. And this story with Imran Awan, it's just such a huge story. The bottom line is the Trump administration and Jeff Sessions' Justice Department probably has enough information to press charges, to indict some of the highest personnel in our country. They haven't done it yet. Will they do it? I don't know. I guess that's the million-dollar question. Just how powerful is Hillary Clinton? Just how powerful are our political parties to insulate these crimes from these politicians, these leaders? It's really incredible. But I wonder if we're getting anywhere. We'll see if this goes anywhere with Mr. Awan, who is still under house arrest or still under protection. I imagine that guy's in serious danger from a lot of different angles. But anyway, that story broke late this week, and I know we'll be touching on that later. Finally, just a few notes kind of as we are on the way out. We didn't hear anything from the Russia narrative again. And I just want to point out to you, my fellow Americans, we the people, it might not seem a big deal. It's a joke now. But just remember that the major corporate media outlets in our country, plus one of the two major political parties, and really with the aid of the other political, I mean, Republicans were not, we're not defending Trump during the false Russia narrative. So you had all corporate media, and 75% of the two dominating political parties accuse a legitimately elected president of we the people of colluding with a foreign government to undermine our political process to choose our leaders. This is treason. This is espionage. These are high crimes. I mean, these are crimes where you are put to death. I mean, like that. Off with your head. And our media accused our president of basically committing high crimes and treason for the last 6-7 months. And, it's a joke today. Haha, no one's talking about Russia, But they need to pay for this, guys. I mean, this is a huge lie. It's a huge deception. And nobody talks about it. And now that it's over, we're just going to sweep it under the rug. And I want to keep talking about Russia. I want to keep talking about the fact that CNN, who many people see as a reputable news source, I don't know why, that CNN perpetrated a deception on the American people, accusing the president of treachery and espionage and sabotage. And, they're not going to, other than their credibility, which was already pretty bad, but still for some reason a lot of people buy it, they need to pay. Even if, we have free speech, so you can't fine people for fake news. I get that. But, we need to remind people that CNN lied about this. We need to remind people that CNN is fake news. We need to help people understand how serious these lies are. I mean, it blows the mind. It blows the mind that they get away with it. But anyway, that was the Russia narrative. We heard nothing from Antifa late last week. The Democrats, Nancy Pelosi denounced them, and other Democrats started denouncing Antifa. Hey, by the way to go, Paul Ryan, endorsing Antifa a week before the Democrats left you hanging and threw them under the bus. So good job, Paul Ryan. Your political instincts are just super sharp. Antifa, they'll be gone, but like Occupy Wall Street, like Black Lives Matter, Antifa will be back. It'll just be called a different name this time, Was Al-Qaeda, now they're ISIS. Was Antifa, now they're Occupy, whoever, whatever. They'll be back. We're fighting the same leftist agitators over and over again, funded by the same financiers. George Soros, ring a bell? It's the same people every time, and they'll be back with a different name. But now Antifa, I guess we've destroyed the brand, but we haven't destroyed the movement. Anyway, Antifa. Slowly but surely, I also see Democrats turning on Hillary Clinton, and this is kind of piggybacks the Imran Awan story. You're starting to see more Democrats speaking out about getting away from Hillary Clinton's politics, getting away from Hillary Clinton's influence, and that could be the precursor to her meeting justice, being served the justice that she deserves for all her crimes. I'm not holding my breath because I'm like you guys. We're all cynical at this point. This woman's above the law. But you see the Democrats turning on her, and that is the precursor to all this. A few years from now, when everyone's forgotten about her, when people have stopped thinking about her, that's when she'll be prosecuted. But to see the rats jumping ship, her former supporters, You'll see Debbie Wasserman Schultz go down. The noose is tightening, as I say. So anyway, into next week, we got Hurricane Irma hitting Florida hard. And it's a pretty open week. I mean, the immigration issue will continue, but I bet you that'll die down. It'll die down tremendously, and we'll be on to new business probably. I'm sure North Korea, I mean, it could heat up, it could cool down, it could heat up. That could happen anytime. Don't know how to tell you to watch North Korea, other than to tell you North Korea is not a threat to the United States. I shouldn't say the only, but the biggest threat in North Korea is that the United States intervenes, and Russia and China gives us their word that they will stand down during an American intervention into North Korea, and then basically go back on their word, and then we're in a thermonuclear situation with 3 superpowers. That would be, I think, a worst case scenario in North Korea. But anyway, that'll be next week. Pray for Florida. Pray for anyone in the path of Hurricane Irma. Thank you very much for joining us this week for Politics with Roger. We'll see you next week. Adios.